This is a weird video to start. I just want to be as brief as I possibly can. So the most summarised version of this video is my mum has cancer. We've known roughly for about 6 weeks. We're on the cusp of knowing how to move forwards with what we know. Like, the last few weeks have been establishing whether or not there's any more cancer, to what extent the cancer she has is. It's not terminal. It will change things for certain. But the biggest point to stress at this moment in time is that it's not terminal. My brain is in an absolute... I mean, there's the obvious trails of thought that I don't personally want to go into on camera because I get upset, but obviously I'm extremely upset, I'm worried, I'm frightened. I'm trying to be an anchor of support. My mum has been staying with me on and off the last couple of weeks. Not just because we've been going to hospital appointments together where possible, because we're in a pandemic, so it's not always possible for me to go in, but I am supporting her to the best of my ability. But also I think it's been good to have a form of distraction. I think for both of us, because I know I started to go under in August. So there's 2 points really inside my brain that are hurting at the moment. The first is that we are now dealing with this during a pandemic. And the second thing is... my granddad dealt with various forms of cancer the last few years of his life, and I think alongside many other people that we know that have dealt with cancer, and in some cases people who have died with cancer, it's just a bit much. My mum is of the mind that it's actually reassuring that she's going through something similar to my granddad. It can be a bit unnerving, but as we're going through the whole process, we've done it all before. Like, she was the right-hand woman to my granddad through his journey. Which is why it was very strange when it knocked down a generation and I was the right-hand woman to my mum when she was being told. Jump cut, please. I mean, I'm, being selfish here for a minute, it's come down a generation and that just makes me panic. One of my big lifetime fears is developing Alzheimer's or dementia, because that's been prominent in my family on both sides. So knowing that something like this has gone down a generation has reinforced that fear and the fear itself of cancer. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm coming across. The realist inside of me is trying the very best to not jump ahead or be too optimistic. Like, I'm a big realist. I'm not an excessively positive person or toxic positive sort of person. There is a difference. I wouldn't even call myself an optimist. I'm definitely more of a realist. So much so that I think some people call me a pessimist. But no, I identify as a realist. And despite how I may be coming across in this, I am actually being a port of call for my mum, and I'm trying to help her get through. And I'm the one that's saying, don't panic, we don't know yet. Don't think about that until we get past that. Which I think will shock people. I think people think they know what I'm like, or have seen me in certain situations and therefore apply what they believe of me to everything within my life, and that's not the case. I think I am being the light at the moment for my mum, but I won't deny that part of me is thinking ahead in probably ways that are not, I wouldn't even say productive, aren't helpful. My granddad was in his 80s, my mum is in her 60s. I'm trying my best to... and also deal with everything else that's going on. Not that it's put things into perspective, because I think this year has been an eye-opener for many people anyway, but it's definitely shaken everything up. Maybe that was God's plan, I don't know. I do definitely feel God's hand in this. Sometimes in life you sort of feel like God pushes you in a particular direction for a certain reason, or like, with hindsight, you look back and think, okay, God, I get it. You did A because you wanted to get me to B over there. I know that might not register with some of you watching, but that is something that is also ticking along within my own brain. This is one of those things where I don't want to talk about this as frequently as I think people may wish me to. It has taken many weeks to sort of get to this point, and of course things can change. In regards to my other social media, I've gone quite quiet about this. I am staying vague. Not because my mum wants me to be vague, but I just think that's the best course to follow for now. The internet is vast. Not everyone is kind. Opening up about my granddad's cancer, to summarise a lot of things I wish to say, people just obliterated him and I. The extent of which I don't really even know how to discuss. Just some people see death or illness as just something else to harass you over. Even this week, I've had a handful of messages from people just saying, I hope your mum dies, or if your mum dies, then finally you will be the adult that you should have been years ago. And I get it, it's only a small minority of the internet, but it hurts. So I just think this time round, just being a bit more private is the best way forward. Not just because of that. This was a hard video to film, despite the fact there's very little to say. I spent about an hour and a half trying to talk. I've cut a lot of stuff. I don't feel able to talk beyond what I'm managing to get out in this video, and I know that might make me come across as very unemotional or uncaring. No, there's a lot that's going on in between the jump cuts and away from the camera and social media. There's so much my brain wants to say and it just can't. So I will stop there. We appreciate your support, your comments, prayers. If you're going through something like this too, hello. As I tell everyone at work, hang on in there. I do not know how to end this.